Hi guys, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and today I have a bit of a project share. So during the crop Lela and I hosted in February, I actually did have some time where I could work on some of my own projects, and I thought I'd share with you some of the other things that I made during that weekend. So let me pull this aside because I got a little bit of everything. If you'd watched a recent video of mine, I had pulled out some frames, some plastic frames from Heidi Swapp, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna play with them. And so I pulled out my alcohol inks and just kind of colored them in. These are the two that I haven't used for anything yet. The other ones that I have, I put them in an art journal. The pages just aren't done yet, so I'm not going to share that at this point, but just so you know, that's what I did with those. And while my alcohol inks were out, I made some alcohol ink panels, and this was just on the back of some photo paper. So these were like index prints that I used to have when I printed, or when I got my photos put onto CDs. And so I thought I'd use the back side to create some panels which I can then turn into cards. This was a lot of fun to play around with, and I didn't feel like I was using precious Yupo paper or something like that. So I'm looking forward to turning those into cards. Speaking of cards, so Lela had issued an additional challenge. It was a recipe challenge where I was supposed to use certain items from my stash. And this is the card that I came up with. I think I had to use something red, a stamp set older than a year. What else? Ribbon, and I don't even remember all the details. But suffice it to say, it is on this card, and I thought it turned out kind of cute. So as for the rest of the projects, I focused on my scraps and just tried to use up a bunch of them. So I made some card bases, just basically using panels and washi tape for the most part. And again, these are just scraps. These will go in my base card bin. And then I made some base pages. So I really like how this one turned out. I played off the pink color, and it just kind of read tropical to me. I had this gray fern paper in my stash, and I thought that kind of went together, even though there is no gray in obviously the solid paper or in this strip of pattern paper, but I do like the way it turned out. I added some washi tape, and I noticed that it is peeling up, so I'll have to add a little bit of liquid glue underneath that just to lock that in. And for the large panel here, it's also a gray paper with kind of like a zigzag line. Along those lines of tropical feel, I had this big leaf print. Again, this is a really basic layout, just two panels and a striped paper that kind of covers the seam. I must have been working on a bunch of outdoor pictures because I had a lot of green in my stash. So again, just another little bit of a tropical feel. I added some solid green cardstock, mounted it on a mat, and used some washi tape. This washi tape I have out in my new little spinner carousel unit, and I find that now that it's there, I'm reaching for it all the time. So that might be something I rotate out periodically just to get some variety. Another challenge that was issued was to do a scrapbook layout, and so I made this one here. I had to use an old piece of paper. So this one's pretty old. I had to use some chipboard, which I had used these alphas. They were like the naked, tan colored chipboard, which I sprayed with different sprays. I used an acrylic word and some sort of twine and tag, and I really like how this one turned out. I still need to do my journaling though. I had leftover scraps from that one, and so I turned that into this layout. These are individually cut out squares, and then I just spaced them. I guess in theory I could have left the paper as is with the white band, but I do like that you can see the other layers peeking through. I had been working on my cruise album as part of Finish It February, and so I had some scraps left over from that, and I created this layout. I foresee adding probably a couple 4x6 photos or a couple photos this way. This already has some embellishments, but you can always add more. And that's the beauty of base pages. You can take this as little or go as far as you need to. Another pretty basic page. I've done these many, many times where you just have a band down the middle. This one can go in any direction, which gives you options. Here is another layout where I pulled in some colors that weren't necessarily in the papers. I believe this is a Paige Evans paper. This green with the pink, I think, was from crepe paper. And this stripe was a Bella Boulevard paper, and it was actually the back of a cover sheet. And there's no real gray in this paper, but between the purples and this like black in there, I think it still works with the gray. And of course, by the time you add photos and embellishments on it, it will push the gray back even further. More leftover scraps from my cruise album. Again, pretty basic. I could either do a large 5x7 photo, or I could do two 4x6 verticals. This one's got a little less of a options for orientation because the globes are situated, but I think there's still some flexibility with this. Here's another one. I've done this before where you just put a band across the top. Lots of room where you can wallpaper the photos down at the bottom, or of course you can overlap and go part way through. So I just wanted to show you how versatile this particular design is. Again, I've got a pattern paper with a band, and then I have two stripes. That is effectively the same as this one that I just showed you. The only thing different with this one is I didn't take the bands all the way across, and I changed the dimensions. Or proportions, I guess. But look, it's basically the exact same thing, just looks different. And this too is almost the exact same thing. The only thing I did different on this one is I cut it short from the top and the bottom, so I have a white band. But basically, it's pattern paper with a band and some different stripes. So for this one here, I had a really busy pattern paper that I foresee will be covered up quite extensively by photos. I did have a 4x6 cut aparts left with two postcards. And do I need both? Probably not, but the way I look at it is I can use one for journaling and one I can add a title. And I think this would make a really cute travel page. And if you notice, this is basically the same thing as those other ones as well. I just changed the proportions. So if you look at it this way, it's still a band with two stripes, pattern paper, only this time I didn't extend the pattern paper on the top. And I flipped the orientation and we have another base page. And yet again, the same design, just with a few switch ups. So in this case, I moved the larger band up to the top, and instead of having two stripes, I did a thin strip at the top, a bigger band in the middle with a decorative edge. Here's my patterned paper, and then I repeated that strip again down at the bottom. But basically the exact same design. And then the last base page that I came up with is this one here, where I have a striped piece of paper, a floral element, and then a thin band of coordinating color. Obviously, two photos would easily fit here. I can rotate this, right? And I can have horizontal photos that come across. There's plenty of room for a title. You could also run a title this way, or maybe along the edge and have the photos overlap. So lots of options. So those are the projects I made during our little crop event. Just a reminder, if you haven't already seen the videos, we will be hosting another event. It's virtual, of course. It'll be March 25th and 26th. Lela and I are hosting it again. I've started a playlist for the lead up to that event. If you're interested, the link will be at the end of this video. And I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end, and until next time, happy crafting.